Hello and welcome everybody to today's Commodities Corner session. Just a very quick check-in again. Everyone can hear me okay, and you can also see the presentation. Okay, fantastic. Good. Right, so today, of course, we'll be going through the Commodities Corner presented by myself, Phil Carr, at the Gold and Silver Club. During the live session, we'll be covering the following. We'll be going through live market analysis. We'll be providing you with a watch list of trade ideas. So we're going to go through gold, silver, oil, the commodity currencies. We'll also have a look at the indices as well, because there's a bit of a shake now starting to occur on the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, which I want to talk you through when we go over to the charts, a potential shakeout in development, which I'll have a look through with you when we go over to my charts. We'll be answering questions and, of course, providing live support. As always, contributions are very welcome. We'll keep it very interactive, guys. So if there's any questions, any comments, let me know. We'll be going through the charts together. We'll explore some of the trade ideas. We'll go through the fundamentals, market sentiment, and we'll really get a good view of what is happening as we go into the US session this afternoon. So before we get into it, let me introduce you to the Gold and Silver Club. The Gold and Silver Club is recognized as the go-to authority on commodities trading. So as internationally respected experts, our analysis and our opinions on the metals, energy, the cryptocurrency markets, they're routinely sought by major financial television channels and publications, which include Bloomberg, Reuters, CNBC, the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal. Our team of experts has mentored thousands of traders from all over the world to invest in the financial markets with confidence using our exclusive strategies. For further information on the Gold and Silver Club and our expertise, please do visit our website, which is www.thegoldandsilverclub.com. If you'd like to find out more about our training programs, the link is www.jointhegoldensilverclub.com, and I've just put that into the description. Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Jermaine. Perfect. So let's get into it. So I'm going to share my screen with you very shortly. We'll go through the fundamentals, market sentiment. I'll talk you through the charts as well, especially where we're poised at the moment with gold, silver, platinum. They're all at levels that I want to talk with you in quite a lot of detail as we go over to those charts. So just before we get into it, we'll go through a recap of execution of trades on the binary.com platform. When we take a trade on binary, we are utilizing the higher, lower, or rise and fall type of trades. Now, the reason that we do this is essentially it's a very straightforward way to take advantage of momentum in the market. It's great for news trading, and you also tend to find this sort of trade, it doesn't require a stop loss or a take profit. You just need to get the direction correct over the given time frame. So we always go for start time now because we want to get into the market immediately when we see a breakout or we see an opportunity to get into a reversal. Typically, we're in a trade anywhere from 1 hour to several hours, just depending on the timing of the execution of that trade. The payout is completely up to you depending on your account size. It's all very transparent. You know what your net profit is going to be on a trade. You could look at a payout of £2,500. It could be £500. It could be £250. It could be £25. It could be just £5, for example. So there's a lot of flexibility when you trade on binary.com to take a position just according to the size of your account. Now, the way it works, I'm sure you're aware of this, but just for a bit of a recap, when you take a trade, you've got your stake, which is essentially what your deposit is on the trade, and then you've got your payout. So if you win the trade, you win the payout. If you lose the trade, you lose the stake. So you know what your risk is up front. You know what your return is. You know what your net profit is. You know what your payout is. You know what your risk is. You're not going to be risking more than you thought you were on a particular trade because everything within that contract is all very clear and upfront. For the price to be higher, you're looking for the price to be higher within a specified time frame. You win the trade if the price closes higher than your entry. And you lose the trade, of course, if the price closes lower than your entry, if you're looking for the price to go higher. For a lower trade, you need the price to close lower than your entry price over the given time frame in order for you to win the trade. Okay, so I hope that's clear. If there's any additional questions on that, do let me know. So we're going to move over to the charts. We'll go over to my screens. I've got my news feeds running at the moment, so I'm hoping that that won't have too much impact. We've closed everything down other than the WebEx platform, my charts and my news feed. So I'm hoping that the sound will remain clear. Okay, but if not, let me know and we'll make some tweaks. Okay, so going to share my screen with you now. So it should come up now. Okay, so we've got the S&P 500. Yep, you can see that. Thanks very much, Sharice. Okay, super. Right, what we'll do, we'll just go over to the top. If we can just bring out, yeah, there we are. Okay, let's just go over to the major market movers right now. Okay, so this will just give you an overall sense of sentiment at the moment. What we're looking at here is a combination of markets. So we've got the commodity markets that we track, we've got the commodity currencies that we track, the indices that we track, and also cryptocurrencies that we trade as well at the Gold and Silver Club, which you can trade on binary.com, MT5, if you are a client of Binary outside of Europe. So today at the moment, overall sentiment, we can actually see Ethereum and Ripple are up on the day at the moment, so leading some of the moves today in terms of the crypto markets. Ethereum have actually added to our position today as well. It looks, we can have a look at that on the chart if there's any questions on that today. Overall with the commodity currencies, so what should we look at right now? Well, New Zealand dollar is actually leading. It had a reasonable move overnight. It's coming to some key support. I'll have a look with you on that on the charts very shortly. The dollar today has broken out above the 4-month highs, and we continue to see that put pressure on the pound, on the euro, on gold, on silver, on platinum. But it's reached a key level today. It hit the monthly pivot about an hour ago, and we'll have a look at that very shortly on the chart too. Oil today, it's more or less flat on the day. We broke out above 3.5-year highs this week, and it's retraced a little bit this afternoon. We'll take a look at that shortly. Australian dollar is down on the day at the moment. Euro's down. Gold is down, but coming into a key support zone. The pound is down right now. If you're looking at an FX market to where there's stronger sentiment, that would be the New Zealand dollar at the moment. Silver is down on the day. Platinum is back down as well, around 890. We'll have a look at that shortly too. Copper's down on the day, and Bitcoin actually, Bitcoin's back at just above 8,000. So Ethereum and Ripple leading some of the gains on the cryptos at the moment. And we'll have a look at the S&P 500 shortly too. So this is sentiment, what we're looking at right now, what is moving, where really we're seeing the most in terms of gains and losses right now. So overall, the markets at the lower end of the range here are all negative on the day, and those at the top of the range are positive on the day at the moment. So that just gives us a bird's eye view of what's happening without going through lots and lots of charts. We just get a very quick view of what is occurring on the markets. Okay, so then we just want to go over and get a bit of an update on the fundamentals here. Okay, so first of all, euro heading for the 5th successive weekly decline here as Italy concerns persist. Sterling also falling amid EU customs union euro on the pound on most of the majors against the dollar right now. Here you go. Australian dollar also 3.5-month highs against the Kiwi at the moment. We'll have a look at that shortly too. There was an article today about Ethereum, top public blockchain, Bitcoin number 13 in the China's new index. We'll probably go through that in more detail on our next cryptocurrency webinar. By the way, if you missed that, this week we did a cryptocurrency webinar on binary.com. You can go to the YouTube channel to watch that, how to trade cryptocurrencies. We talk you through our positioning and our forecast on Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin. You can also go over to our Twitter accounts as well on Gold, Silver, Phil. You can have a look at if you're on Twitter and just watch the recording. We've reposted it there as well, but you can watch that on YouTube too. Yeah, thanks for that, Sharice. Yeah, just as a reminder as well there. Cryptocurrencies, for those of you trading them on binary, they're available on MT5, but only if you're a client outside of Europe at the moment. Okay, good. Right, so let's go over and have a look at the commodity market. So we can see here, gold price has fallen again today as we've seen the dollar index breaking out here. So we have a look at the dollar. The dollar has just come up to the monthly pivot, the weekly pivot. It's broken out above 4-month highs here. And that will certainly put some pressure on gold, on silver, and platinum as well. We'll come to back to that very shortly. But overall, the dollar strength at the moment will have a big impact here. Copper falling for the first week in 3. So we'll have a look at copper as well on the charts very shortly. Gold's coming into a very key level of support. I want to go through that with you when we go over to the charts in a bit more detail. And then oil, I mean, oil's been very strong this week, 6th week of gains. It broke out again to 3.5-year highs this week. We saw Brent crude oil break above the $80 per barrel level, which was a very significant zone of resistance this week. So overall, the oil market has remained very well supported. We've still got long positions on oil, actually. We'll have a look at the oil chart shortly. So we still maintain our long positions there as well. If you go, you can see where it's hit $80 per barrel. I am interested to see what's going to happen with indices today. They're turning negative at the moment, so we're starting to see the S&P 500 pull back a bit here. So we just see what we'll bring out that chart shortly as well. Yeah, Wall Street set to open lower today, so we're set to open in about 20 minutes or so for the US session this afternoon. But we can see, just bring out the S&P 500. You can see we've got starting to break down again. You've got a V-shaped reversal pattern, potential for a good sell short opportunity on the S&P 500 today. I'll definitely keep that on your radar as well. So I think those are really the major news items that we need to cover at the moment in terms of what is driving some of these movements right now. So I'm looking at, certainly overall sentiment is bullish still for oil right now, and I'll cover that when we go over to the charts there very shortly. I would still be a bit careful if you're trying to bottom pick here on the euro or on the pound right now. They still seem weak. I'll be careful about shorting them as well because they're very oversold. So it's sit and wait time, in my opinion, on those markets for the time being. New Zealand dollar is leading the bounce higher right now, and there's some good opportunities potentially on Ethereum at the moment too. So I would potentially keep an eye out for that. We'll come back to that if there's any additional questions on that as well. So what we'll do first, let's go over to some of the markets which are starting to build up momentum as we go into the US session today. So for me here, we've got a potential trade setup lining up on the S&P 500. If you look at the S&P 500, look at the Dow Jones as well. The Dow Jones is starting to roll over. If we break back below yesterday's low, break the weekly pivot, I've already got a sell signal on there as well. I would expect a corrective move on a break below the pivot, taking the price back on the Dow Jones to about it's about to the weekly pivot here, which is 24,383 approximately is the level. If we do see a breakdown on the Dow Jones today, it's got into overbought territory. It's hit resistance at the Bollinger's, the monthly pivot. And then if I bring you over to the S&P 500, if we break through 2,708, which will be yesterday's low in the weekly pivot, then we should start to see the price structure break down on the S&P. I'm seeing potential reversal as well on the DAX, although the DAX has been much stronger. My preference is to sell the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones at the moment. The NASDAQ is leading, actually. Have a look at the NASDAQ. You can actually look at the NASDAQ for a sell short. Leads me to believe that we should break down today on the S&P 500. Notice where the NASDAQ hit the upper Keltner channels, and it hit the upper end of the range here today. So we've, this week, and then we started to break down off that level. So we've already broken through the last couple of days of lows. I don't see support on the NASDAQ until we hit the weekly pivot, which is just below. So I think today we should see some downside on equities. Seems to be the case, but we'll wait for a bit more momentum on the S&P 500. The dollar index, of course, the breakout here that we're seeing. You see, I wonder whether we're going to see a reversal now, because everybody's been looking at the weekly pivot and the monthly pivot as a major target on the US dollar here. It could be a reversal point today, in which case we might see support come in for commodities, some commodities and commodity currencies. New Zealand dollar, US dollar is one of the strongest. What I would look at on the New Zealand dollar at the moment is look at it on the weekly chart. And we've bounced off this major support zone, which goes back to January. We can see this is the fourth bounce off that level. And approximately it's about every 4 to 5 months we come and revisit the lower end of that channel. The New Zealand dollar is really a range-bound market, has been for about 2 years. We're at the lower end of that range. Potential for a reversal from this point as well. So I would keep an eye on that, starting to get some momentum to the upside. The Australian dollar right now, it broke out earlier on this week. It's pulling back a bit today on the dollar strength. It's just consolidating to near enough a major support at the moment. So I'm looking at the dollar, Australian dollar, US dollar for some support at this zone. I mean, it might be good for aggressive entry if it comes back and revisits the lower Bollinger Bands here, and also the monthly pivot as well. It's backing and filling a little bit at the moment. So I would keep an eye on that We'll move over and have a look at the metals here. So overall, silver's leading the bounce right now. We executed a long position on silver earlier on this week on a revisit back towards $16 here after the gold to silver ratio came very close to 80 to 1 again. So basically what that means is when the gold to silver ratio gets to 80 to 1, which doesn't happen that often, in the last 15 years it's happened about 6 times. And every time that's happened, it's marked a very good time to buy silver. So let's say, for example, you owned gold and you were looking to take advantage of these ratios with silver and gold. So you'd do well, for example, if you owned a lot of gold and at the point where the gold to silver ratio hits 80 to 1, it means your 1 ounce of gold, let's say you physically swapped it, you could swap it for 80 ounces of silver when the ratio gets to 80 to 1. And it did that earlier on this week. Now the ratio is sitting around 78 to 1. So if you were to swap out 1 ounce of gold now, you'd only get 78 ounces of silver. Going back approximately back to 2012, I believe, the gold to silver ratio hit 40 to 1. So at that point, if you owned 1 ounce of gold and you wish to swap it for silver, you would only get 40 ounces of silver. And if you're a trader or investor and you take advantage of the ratios here, you can do very well by selling off your gold into silver when the ratio gets to 80 to 1, and then when the ratio flips again, you sell your silver back to gold, and then you make more money if you're an investor doing it that way. So when the gold to silver ratio gets to 80 to 1 or higher, it's a really good time to buy silver. So that's what we did earlier on this week. We came back down towards $16, bought this lower Bollinger Band a bit aggressively into that trade, but it's in profit at the moment. Backing and filling a bit here. I mean, it's not too much of a surprise. We run into some of the faster moving averages, and the US dollar just broke out to 5-month highs. But silver is still looking well supported at the moment. If it comes back down to $16 and the gold to silver ratio hits 80 to 1 again, I will likely add to my position on silver. At the moment, I'm waiting just to see how the price structure will develop here. Gold as well, I see this, I was looking at this on a webinar we were doing yesterday, and probably the best way to show you this is where we're poised at the moment. Well, I can put it on the daily, and let's just bring out gold here. You'll note I've got Keltner channels here, which are very good for especially gold, but a lot of markets they work well on. I mean, so I'll show you, for example, the S&P 500 hit one of the upper Keltner channels last week, and I'll try and make the colors different just so you can see that a little bit more detail here. Let's make those white, and you can see them a bit more clearly on my chart. Okay, the Keltner channels here, you can see this Keltner channel on the S&P 500 hit that level spot on 2 days. This was, I believe, on Monday we hit the Keltner channel where we actually got in an aggressive short. But you can see here where we actually took profit on our long position there as well. Hit the Keltner channel, and then we've seen a reversal. And on gold at the moment, it's had 1, 2, 3. I mean, this is uncanny how well the price is supporting that level. So you've obviously got some big traders buying off that zone with a lot of precision at the lower end of the Keltner channel. I think we're at a zone where we're going to get supported soon on gold. So we're around 1285. I'm getting a lot of questions about whether to buy gold at this level. You're going to find it difficult to pick the exact low. It might be the low today, 1287, around about that zone at the moment. I mean, it's very oversold at the moment. It's back in an accumulation zone, and the gold to silver ratio hit 80 to 1 at the beginning of the week or towards the end of last week, and that would normally mark a low for gold price. So I'd say a low is probably due soon. I don't know whether we need to see a flush out. If there's a big trader out there who just dumps a lot of gold contracts on the market, that's a point where you could then see a further flush out and then a retracement back into this weekly zone here. So that's a potential level where you could see a reversal. So you could break down to, for example, a monthly pivot here, which sits around 1274. Could be a zone where we would see gold break down a little bit further in price. But at the moment, it's getting well supported around that zone for now. So we're finding support at 1,287 US dollars per ounce. Again, what I would look at today, and as we go into next week, is the potential for a reversal on the dollar. So the dollar right now, whilst it continues to go up higher like this, it's going to put pressure on a lot of the commodities. So gold, silver, platinum, they could come down a little bit lower. As soon as the dollar runs out of steam, where we're poised at the moment, again, with the dollar, it's sitting around the monthly pivot, the weekly pivot. If it holds at this zone, we're very overbought. You can see with the RSI as well. If it starts to rotate lower, then we could get support for the metals. If it continues to break out, we could have another clean break lower for the metals, and they're going to come down a little bit lower. At the moment, they're getting supported right at that zone, weekly pivot, lower end of the Keltner channels, the RSI. So from a technical point of view, we are coming into some support at this zone. Although you don't have confirmation to buy, you would be getting in aggressively if you were to buy at this level on gold. That's not to say it won't bounce from here. It's just to say it's quite an aggressive entry at the moment because there's not confirmation. Confirmation I would normally look at for a position like this would be, for example, a positive close, a higher low, higher high, or breaking close above the previous day's high, and then we start to build up some momentum for a potential V-shaped reversal pattern support to come in for gold. Jermaine, thanks for that. We can have a look at that, certainly. Yeah, the weekly, you're coming into some major levels here on the weekly chart as well. So we're residing around about 1285 to 87, the weekly chart here. You can marry that up with some trend channels as well. But overall, yeah, the weekly chart is coming into this previous zone. This zone just below 1300 has been important in the as resistance, and it might well turn into support. But it's a bit aggressive to get into it at the moment for a long. I would wait a little bit longer if you've been looking to execute a trade. I would be careful about selling as well, to sell gold at this level. Unless we have a clean break below the weekly lows, let's say 1284, then it could run down to around 1274. Otherwise, I'd be inclined to wait and just see how the price structure develops. It could be a very good buy opportunity if it finds support at this level. It could be the low. So we'll have a look at that. The Gold and Silver Club, we've had a lot of discussions about this during our live trading rooms this week and also with clients as well. So this is a bit of a decision point for gold today. We've got some FOMC members speaking later on today, which could provide some volatility. The fact that the dollar is breaking out and gold's still holding up suggests that we may get some support. And also the net long positions from hedge funds over the last week has continued to increase, which suggests that funds are loading up at these prices at the moment. It's always difficult to catch the low, but certainly if a fund has been looking to add positions to gold, what you need to understand is that gold's average return on a yearly basis over the last 15 years is approximately 11% per year is the average net return for gold. If you buy it in January, the beginning of the year, that's been the average. If you bought it every year over the last 15 years, your net return is around 10 to 11% per year by buying gold. Now, bear in mind that over the last 3 years in particular, gold's seen bigger gains than that because we came out of a correction over a 3 or 4 year period from about 2014 to 2015. And after that corrective move, we've seen bigger gains on a percentage basis on gold. Where we're poised right now, in terms of the 18th of May 2018, gold is now negative on the year. So it's not even positive on the year at the moment. It's gone from flat to actually slightly negative on the year. So as a fund, if you've been looking to get exposure to gold, it would make sense to buy it soon with the expectation that the yield on gold over the course of this year, or the percentage increase between now and the end of the year, if it follows its average return, especially on years with the gold to silver ratios hit 80 to 1 or higher, you could look for a potential 10% gain between now and the end of the year on gold. So basically that would mean buying gold at $1,287 US. If you're looking at a 10% gain, you look for it to go up by $120, so up to around 1,400 in that sort of region within the next 1,410 between now and the end of the year, if you're looking at a 10% gain. Now, we're just playing with probability. There's no guarantees with any of this, but I'm just talking you through some of the stats at the moment. If I was looking to buy this as an institutional investor and just looking at where we're at in terms of the year for gold, and if you look at the average sort of return that gold has been delivering the last 15 years, the fact that gold is more or less flat or negative on the year, and we have a lot going on this year geopolitically and within the stock markets as well, which have had quite a big breakdown at the beginning of the year, I would certainly look to put a percentage of my portfolio into gold positions here with a lot of risk that we could come into later on this year with the stock market. So I think this price is quite cheap relative to where the price could go, but it could still go lower short term. I don't know if it needs to break through support in the short term. So I'll just put that on your radar at the moment on gold. Also, platinum tends not to spend much time below $900. Platinum's really oversold at the moment. It broke through $900 a couple of days back. Platinum is probably best if I show you this on a weekly chart. So we'll bring out platinum. This is platinum on a weekly chart. I'll just drop it into a daily chart here as well, and I'll zoom out on the daily. So we're right back in the accumulation zone. I mean, visually you can see what we're looking at here, and this is very technical in terms of what we're looking at. Just buy the buy zone here. Support is around $900. We're right back within that level. The Keltner channels show you the range. So essentially, you would have done well over the last 2 years or so on platinum here, just to buy at the lower end of this range, buy approximately at $900. So basically buy here, well actually buy here, and buy where we are at the moment. Doesn't happen that often. About once every 3 or 4 months, platinum gets below $900, and then you just ride it for a move all the way back up towards the upper end of the trend channel, and then you sell once it gets back above $1,000. So the anticipation could be here, the platinum over the next quarter could rise all the way back towards the upper end of that channel once the dollar starts to correct. That is with the caveat that at some point, a range like this, support resistance will break. And the more times you test a level of support or resistance, the more inclined it is to break at some point. But with the platinum market, the platinum to gold ratio is the most extreme it's ever been. So relative to gold, platinum is the cheapest it has ever been relative to gold. So you've got platinum that's at a massive discount to gold right now. It's over 1.4 ratio. That doesn't make a lot of sense for platinum to be this cheap relative to gold at the moment. It's never happened before. The platinum has been this cheap. So platinum right now, with it trading around $887, and you've got gold, which is trading around $1,287, we should see a reversion to the mean soon. So either gold's got to go down much lower and platinum needs to stay at the current price, or platinum needs to go up a lot higher to just marry up with the disparity on platinum gold price right now. I mean, if you take, for example, the platinum going back to, let's see, the run up here that we had over 2013, platinum was trading much higher than gold, right? So it was trading around $1,700, which makes more sense because platinum is rarer than gold for it to be trading at that level of resistance, around $1,700. And at that time, let's bring out gold. So 2013, where was gold? At that time, gold was trading, around 1,400. So gold was much cheaper than platinum. So it just doesn't make sense from a cost point of view that platinum is trading so much cheaper than gold right now. So I would suggest from a probability point of view that platinum is probably not going to break down that much lower, but we never know. You never know for sure in the financial markets. Nothing is a guarantee. We just have to stack probability on our side. And I'd say platinum below $900 at this level, I do like it. I'm waiting a bit more confirmation though, but we're right at the lower end of the Keltner channels. We're at the 900 zone. The gold to platinum ratio is really extreme at the moment, the most extreme it's ever been. So I think there is some degree of rotation higher, which could be expected soon on platinum, maybe a V-shaped reversal pattern recovery. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at the moment. Okay, so that's where we are at the moment with the metals. Energies, let's go over to oil. Right, so let's look at Brent crude oil here. So this was actually from a webinar we were doing yesterday where we were looking at the bull flag breakouts we've been taking on oil. We've got our long position on oil at the moment. Probably going to leave that as is until we get the oil recount, which is due out later on today. We've continued to maintain long positions here on oil throughout this breakout to the upside. So we've got at the moment a break on Brent. Let's go over to Brent crude oil. Brent crude oil was broken above the $80 level yesterday. I mean, it is overbought short term here in terms of this zone, but what we're tending to see right now is shallower and shallower retracements. And we're just seeing a lot of support at the faster moving averages. So if you track like the 5-day moving average, the 6-day moving average, the faster moving averages on the chart, they are all running into a lot of support right now. I'd be careful not to short oil, not to try and pick a top. It's broken above the $80 level this week. Overall, it's been very strong. If you look at it on the weekly chart, you've got a lot of support here for oil on the weekly as well. We've broken above a lot of resistance. It cleared $80 per barrel this week. So really the next major level for Brent, if it can close above $80 per barrel, would be 85, and then we're only then about $15 away. Actually, even at the moment, we're only about $20 away from $100 per barrel oil again. And bear in mind that Brent crude oil, going back to June of last year, was trading around $45 per barrel, and now it's almost doubled in price. So it traded yesterday above $80 per barrel. So I would overall, I'm bullish on oil. One of the factors for this as well is that hedge funds at the moment have got one of the smallest positions they've had in over 5 months. So they haven't caught a lot of this move to the upside. And a good example of this was going back, let's have a look, on the chart here, where we saw oil. This is where it was trading at $57 per barrel at the beginning of 2017. At this point, hedge funds were extreme net long, so they had the biggest net long position on record. So that means everybody who wants to be long and is already buying. And at some point, if there's nobody else to buy, if everybody who wants to be long is already long, inevitably traders will start taking profit. They'll start to unwind positions the longer it consolidates and the price breaks down. Now, funds have missed out a lot of this breakout to the upside. So we see that data every week from the commitment of traders data. And that data, the fact that funds at the moment, they don't have the net long position that they really should have, given where the price is at the moment, means there's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines that could get into oil and still drive the price significantly higher. So I'm of the opinion that oil could still go a lot higher because you've got a lot of funds and institutional money that's still not involved in this to the long side that could go in and drive the price a lot higher. So my overall consensus on oil right now is that we're bullish on oil, shallow retracements at the moment. We'd look to potentially add to my position on some pullbacks, but we have enough exposure at the moment on the long side to oil here. At some point, we probably will see a reversal and a breakdown in price, but I think at the moment the price structure just looks too strong to break down significantly at the moment. Each pullback is getting well supported. The fundamentals are all supported. The geopolitical risk is all supported for oil right now as well. And even with the dollar breaking out like it is to 5-month highs, it's still not really having too much negative impact on oil at the moment. So overall, staying long oil for the time being. So we've got our net long position on oil at the moment, which we are maintaining. Okay, I think that's it, guys, just in terms of what we're looking at with the major markets right now. Again, we'll just go back to the overall sentiment there. So really, FX, if you trade FX, New Zealand dollar is the strongest performer today, or if you're looking for long opportunities. If you're looking at some sell short opportunities today, I would keep an eye out for a potential opportunity on the S&P 500. Jermaine, thanks for that. Yeah, we can have a look at US dollar, Canadian dollar. Yeah, I mean, that's got a bid today, hasn't it? We had the data come out a little bit earlier on in the session here. So we've seen another positive breakout for US dollar CAD here. It's been really range bound, actually, CAD. You can see we've had a buy signal, a sell signal, a buy signal. It's basically back in buy signal territory at the moment, which isn't a surprise as well, given that the US dollar has had a strong breakout today as well. I think it's overdone on the day. The move that we've seen so far, it's hit its normal daily range. So you can see often reversals going into Friday afternoon as well. If you've been long US dollar CAD, you've caught a decent move. You're probably looking to take profit territory soon, maybe a little bit higher within the RSI to get into overbought, hit the upper Bollinger Band. But overall, it's bullish. I would be bullish US dollar CAD at the moment if I was trading that directly. Looks like we've got a buy signal on that right now. You can see CAD actually up at the moment, about 0.6% on the day. New Zealand dollar up 0.4% on the day. Yeah, well, let's have a look actually at US dollar Japanese yen and US dollar Swiss franc. Yeah, US dollar Swiss franc actually does look quite toppy. Still got a sell signal on that. Surprise considering the breakout in the US dollar today. It looks like we've got, I saw this before actually, I think it was Euro Swiss franc that we saw his price structure. Let's have a look. Yeah, there it was. You can see the similarity, right? Have a look at this chart here. So look at it up to about the 21-day moving average. Bang, once it broke through the 21-day moving average, that has really broken down. So the US dollar Swiss franc, just clearly from a price structure point of view, it looks like we could see a similar breakdown. I would keep an eye on that actually. US dollar Swiss franc looks pretty toppy. Look at it on the weekly. We've come into, yeah, rejection candle on the weekly. It looks like a potential double top as well. So US dollar Swiss franc, I'll put that on the radar. US dollar Swiss franc looks set for a potential breakdown in price. Let's look at US dollar Japanese yen overall. I mean, it's broken above the 4-month highs here as well. It's overbought though. I'll be a bit careful about any new entries on that. I would wait. But I do like, yeah, potential for a sell short in US dollar Swiss franc. If it breaks below support and it closes below this consolidation zone as well. Yeah, I think that's it for the time being. I would keep an eye on the S&P 500 if it breaks through 2,710 today. If it breaks through a round number, if it breaks through 2,700, it might be it bounces off the 100-day moving average. Seems to be quite supportive at the moment, but overall, I'll look at the NASDAQ, which is breaking down. If that continues to follow through, we should get some correlation. We're coming to the US session now, so let's have a look. I'll see if I can bring up my data actually on that. Let's have a look at Dow. Yeah, the Dow Jones got a sell signal on it now. Okay, there we go. So we're starting to get into the session. We can see what's moving. Yeah, 3.8 points at the moment. Yeah, it's a weak start today to the NASDAQ as well, S&P. So we'll see whether it continues to follow through during the US session this afternoon. It's just getting started right now. Yeah, we'll be watching that closely today, definitely. Okay, excellent. So I hope that helps just in terms of what we're looking at the moment. As I mentioned at the beginning of the session, if you would like to find out more about our training services at the Gold and Silver Club, the link is www.jointhegoldandsilverclub.com. I'll go one step further than that, and the live news feeds that I've shown you today, market sentiment, and essentially customized calendar, live news feeds, we've got all the fundamental data. You can get access to our customized built market data and news trading platform. If you'd like to get set up with a trial or you want access to this, we built this alongside Reuters to put together a product which is just great for the fundamental side of trading, really gives you the full package with respect to the market. So you're not only looking at the charts, you've got one place where you've got all of the fundamental information as well. You've got the commitment of traders data as well, so you can see what the funds are doing, what the big boys are doing in the market. It basically puts you on a level playing field. So you've got access to the same information that you would get if you worked in a fund or if you worked in a bank. You are no longer going to be a disadvantage as a retail trader. So if you want access to that, just fill in the link there, www.jointhegoldandsilverclub.com. Yeah, excellent. Thanks very much, Jermaine. Appreciate that. And of course, if you'd like to also become a client of the Gold and Silver Club and get access to our services, essentially you get access to our live trading rooms during the week. We also trade FOMC statements, non-farm payrolls, so you can trade those with us as well. You get real-time trade alerts delivered instantly by email and SMS. So we update you on every single trade that we are taking at the Gold and Silver Club real time. You get access to our weekly trading plan. So every week we put together a trading plan for the following week where we go through all of the markets, our watch list and the trades that we look at for the next week. We provide you also with access to our private members academy. So you get access to our training videos, our resources, all our strategies, our trade signals, our discussion boards. You get all of that included. You get VIP phone and email support directly from our senior traders as well. And you get your platform set up and configuration. So all of your charts are set up with all of the indicators. I've gone through some of the indicators today, such as the Keltner channels, pivots, and so on, but you don't get these automatically on your trading platform. They're custom indicators that we would send to you to install. Okay, so for more information at the Gold and Silver Club on our training services, if you enjoyed today's session and you'd like to join us, again, it's just www.jointhegoldandsilverclub.com. Yeah, great stuff, George. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for all the kind comments. That's really great. So I wish you all good trading, guys. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing those of you who will be joining us on the other side. Okay, great stuff. So thanks again to binary.com and the team, and Sharice for putting on today's session, and we'll see you all on the next one, guys. Okay, thanks again. Great. Thanks, Jermaine. Take care, everyone. All the best. Bye-bye.